Good morning, everyone. I know that quite a few of you are still getting settled in. That is just fine. Make yourselves at home. We're switching up the opening just a little bit. We're going to start with song. Jen?
Good morning. Today's opening song is a piece by Fea Ora Rose Touré. She is a very interesting woman, so I've decided every week that we do this song, I'm going to share an interesting fact about her. Today's interesting fact is that she was the first black female judge in Alabama. So not only did she write really cool music, she also did lots of other things. So, we have lyrics. Oh, look! Oh, I didn't know there would be the little emoji for clapping, so that's great. So when we get to that part of the song, you're welcome to do a little clapping, and it'll sound like, if I don't lift her up, clap, clap, clap. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift, and then it actually stops after that. There's three? Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's good. So I'll welcome you to join me whenever you feel ready. The first time through, you might want to just listen. But after that, we have two more verses where you're welcome to join in. All right. I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up. She is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, I will fall down. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up. They are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up. They are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up. They are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, I will fall down. I'm gonna lift my brother up. He is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my brother up. He is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my brother up. He is not heavy. If I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, if I don't lift him up, I will fall down.
Good morning. I'm Mariella from the Board of Directors, and I'm here to tell you about a bunch of really cool things that are happening at First Unitarian. So first of all, check the EUU. Are you interested in exploring how to more fully live our Unitarian values? Are you interested in connecting more deeply with others? If so, we encourage you to join our Journey group, which will be starting Thursday, February 6th at 1 p.m. You can learn more about it in the EUU. This Friday, January 31st, Unitarian House is sponsoring a murder mystery called Clues and Cocktails, a Killer Fundraiser, which will actually be held here in the FirstU building. Join from 6 to 9 p.m. for an evening of intrigue, indulgence, and philanthropy. The cost is $65 with the special FirstU discount code. You can find details, tickets, and that discount code in the EUU. A couple of refugee-related announcements. The refugee team is looking for volunteers to drive Landry and Elvis to appointments from their temporary accommodations in Findlay Creek and the Conroy Hunt Club area, and also for people to help them learn and practice English. Some French is an asset. See Brent or Eva, or send an email to refugees@firstunitarianottawa.ca if you're willing to help, or check the EUU. Now, the second refugee thing is really exciting. Join us on Saturday, February 8th for a fun congregational potluck to welcome our sponsored newcomers to Canada. We'll gather in Fellowship Hall from 5 till 8 p.m., and all ages are welcome. Please bring a main course or dessert to share, labeled with ingredients. RSVP to the refugee sponsorship team by February 6th at refugees@firstunitarianottawa.ca. And I hear there will be a special appearance by the house band to lead us in singing Canadian songs, so we should really have a fun evening. Are you new or feeling new? Then plan to attend the upcoming session of Introducing Ourselves on Tuesday, February 11th, starting at 7 p.m. You can find out more and register at the welcome table or by emailing welcome@firstunitarian.ca, and Carol is back there at the welcome table with information about that. As a new initiative of FirstU Social Justice Action Network, SJAN, this year there will be regular special basket collections throughout the year to support the work of our local social justice programs. These will be called Social Justice Sundays. This Sunday, today, the collection will be for Ten Oaks Project. You'll learn more about this special local charitable organization later in the service. Please note that 100% of non-designated donations in today's offering basket will be directed to Ten Oaks. So if you want your donation to go to another purpose like your pledge, please note that on your check or envelope. And finally, join us today following the service for our continuing bi-weekly conversation about themes and insights in the morning service. Grab some food from Fellowship Hall, then join us in the lounge for the conversation, which will begin at 11:45. Coffee will be available. Thank you. Okay, in your pews, you should see a tiny little holder, and there should be envelopes there. And if you don't see envelopes, let me know, and we will make sure to get you some. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Mariella. Bonjour tout le monde. Welcome, everyone, to the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa, whether you are here in Worship Hall or watching from whatever comfortable couch you may find yourself in. Know that you are welcome. This morning, as Mariella said, we begin a monthly practice of special social justice offerings. With us is our special guest this morning, Kymani, Executive Director of Ten Oaks, which supports children, youth, and families from Two-Spirit communities through camps and programming rooted in play. How cool is that? I'm the Reverend Eric Meter, this congregation's lead minister.
And good morning, I'm Lee, your worship associate today. We acknowledge that our FirstU campus is located on traditional, unsurrendered, and unceded Algonquin Anishinaabe territory, and that the work of reconciliation is a responsibility of our congregation and of all Canadians. Our goal is to educate ourselves and those who have the willingness to understand, to be of service to those who are at risk, and to advocate for justice. Let's join our voices in song once more. Please rise in body or spirit as Jen introduces Everything Possible, number 1019 in our teal hymnal. The lyrics will also be on the screen above.
Maybe don't rise yet.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's a long introduction, so feel longer than usual. I always, before we sing this song, just mention that it's a beautiful song, and it doesn't necessarily, the language in it doesn't necessarily reflect our current understanding of gender or the spectrum of gender or of sexuality. And so I always want to mention that beforehand, and usually that's sort of the focus of my introduction. But today I asked Reverend Eric if I could tell a little story about the last time we sang this in a service, which was more than a year ago. And I had a friend who was visiting, and I noticed she got very emotional in it. She was crying. And after the service, I asked her about it. And I said, it's a very beautiful song. And she said something which I hope it won't offend anybody here exactly, but she said that she was looking out at everybody singing so deeply from their heart, and there were so many people, this is the part I worry about offending, but there were so many people who looked the age of her grandparents. And she looked out at these people and she thought her experience, that it was just so far from her experience growing up of having grandparents in her life who would have sung something like this to her and would have sung it like from her heart, from their heart, and with such meaning and commitment to it. And I wanted to share that because I think we often think of hope and inspiration as being something that youth can bring. And I wanted to tell this story because I think it's a beautiful example of how age can also bring that. And also of how singing with commitment and singing your values can impact somebody and leave a mark on them, because that's something she will always remember. So thank you for all the singing that you do with me. I really appreciate it. All right.
Can we rise now?
Oh yeah, you may rise in body or spirit.
As health challenges continue, do take care and take advantage of online opportunities at FirstU to stay in touch. If you're new to FirstU and would like to learn more about us, please contact us through our email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. And if you're right here in Worship Hall with us this morning and would like more information about FirstU, it's available at the welcome table at the back. Carol's there right now. Carol, give us a wave. Carol. We encourage you to sign up and receive the EUU, our weekly email newsletter. Sign-up information is available on our website under the EUU Weekly Newsletter tab, and you can access the EUU on the website or by using the QR code on the back of our printed programs. Check our Facebook and Instagram pages and our website for notices and updates. Our calendar continues to be as full as ever, though some of our activities take place online. This morning, as always, each of us is welcome. We of any heritage or faith, whatever our burdens, of any culture or race, of any gender or orientation, in any body, all that we are. Today we are all a part of this spiritual community.
To begin, or I should say to continue this morning's reflection on gender, sexuality, and authentic living, we light our chalice this morning to these words of welcome from Maureen Kaloran. Do I have a couple helpers this morning? Yay! In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness. Thank you. More is almost always welcome. Blow it out. Yeah, thank you. May our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement, that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first to the response of love. Our chalice is now lit. Come, let us worship together as we sing together our chalice song. Jody, you have a story for us? Have microphone will travel.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jody McIntosh, the Director of Religious Exploration, and I do have a story for you this morning. So I wear many hats in the church, and this morning my hat is of a pencil. So you have to imagine I'm the pencil in the story telling the story. So it is called Red, a Crayon Story. It will be up on the screen, but if I have anyone young or young at heart who wants to look at the book while I read, that would be fun. So this is a story about a crayon I know. I wrote it just for you. He was red. He was red, but he wasn't very good at it. Oh dear. His teachers thought he needed more practice. I'll draw a red strawberry. Then you draw a red strawberry. You can do this. Really, you can. But he couldn't, really. Like this. Oh my. Let's try again. His mother thought he needed to mix with other colors. Why don't you two go out and draw a nice round orange? A really big one, a really orange one. But they made a green instead. Oops, yuck. His grandparents thought he wasn't warm enough. Your class is making self-portraits for Parents' Night. Wear this warm red scarf. Nice. It's so you. But it so wasn't. Oh, dear me. Can you see his portrait there? It's not red. Everyone seemed to have something to say. Sometimes I wonder if he's really red at all. Don't be silly. It says red on his label. He came that way from the factory. Frankly, I don't think he's very bright. Well, I think he's lazy. Right, he's got to press harder. Really apply himself. Give him time, he'll catch on. Of course he will. Everyone seems to have an opinion. But he didn't catch on. Green frog, black sheep, brown cow, a red, oops. All the art supplies wanted to help. The masking tape thought he was broken inside. This will hold you together. The scissors thought his label was too tight. One snip should do it. I thought he wasn't sharp enough. Stay still now. But even with all our help and all his hard work, he was still having trouble being read. He just couldn't get the hang of it. One day, he met a new friend. Will you make a blue ocean for my boat? I can't. I'm red. Will you try? So he did. Thank you, it's perfect. You're welcome. It was easy. And he didn't stop there. I'm blue. He was red. No, he was blue. And everyone was talking. My son is brilliant. Who could have known he was blue? I always said he was blue. It was obvious. His blue ocean really lifted me. All of his work makes me happy. His blue strawberries are my favorite. He's so intense. I'm going to make a green lizard with him, a really big one. I hear he's working on a huge new project. He's really reaching for the sky. And he really was. The end. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my story. And as per tradition, we will go down this aisle, and if you can make an arch for us, that would be amazing. Thank you.
I looked out, and I didn't see an Elon Musk anywhere. and I was grateful. Each week, we pause in our time together in recognition of the joys and sorrows in our lives and those across the globe. We honor our celebrations and challenges by placing stones in small bowls of water. As the ripples extend outward, imagine them continuing out beyond the small bowls, out through and past our pews, out into the larger community of all. A stone of congratulations for Barbara B. on her 90th birthday earlier this month. And a stone of encouragement for Galaxy as they face health challenges. Against this background, we live our lives. Please come forward at this time if you have a joy, a sorrow, a challenge that you would like to put into a stone and place in these small bowls. That last stone I placed, as always, represents all that remains in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. Caring cards for Barbara and Galaxy are at the back of the hall at our caring table for us to sign. Even if you don't yet know them, this is a way for us to extend our care on behalf of those who have given so much to the vitality of this religious community. Let us move into a time now of stillness and reflection. After several moments, we'll come back together through the gift of music.
This morning's reading is an excerpt from Transgender Warriors by Leslie Feinberg. When I was born in 1949, the doctor confidently declared, "It's a girl." That might have been the last time anyone was so sure. I grew up a very masculine girl. It's a simple statement to write, but it was a terrifying reality to live. I tried to mesh two parallel worlds as a child, the one I saw with my own eyes and the one I was taught. For example, I witnessed powerful adult women in our working class projects handling every challenge of life while coping with too many kids and not enough money. Although I hated seeing them beaten down by poverty, I loved their laughter and their strength. But on television, I saw women depicted as foolish and not very bright. Every cultural message taught me that women were only capable of being wives, mothers, housekeepers, seen, not heard. So was it true that women were the weak sex? I saw a lot of love. Love of parents, flag, country, and deity were mandatory. But I also observed other loves, between girls and boys, and boys and boys, and girls and girls. There was the love of kids and dogs in my neighborhood, soldier buddies and foxholes in the movies, students and teachers at school. Passionate, platonic, sensual, dutiful, devoted, reluctant, loyal, shy, reverent. Yet I was taught there was only one official meaning of the word love, the kind between men and women that leads to marriage. No adult ever mentioned men loving men or women loving women in my presence. I never heard it discussed anywhere. There was no word at that time to express the sheer joy of loving someone of the same sex. And I learned early on that boys were expected to wear men's clothes and girls were not. When a man put on women's garb, it was considered a crude joke. By the time my family got a television, I cringed as my folks guffawed when Uncle Milty Berle donned a dress. It hit too close to home. I longed to wear the boys' clothing I saw in the Sears catalog. My own gender expression felt quite natural. I liked my hair short, and I felt most relaxed in sneakers, jeans, and a t-shirt. However, when I was most at home with how I looked, adults did a double take or stopped short when they saw me. The question, "Is that a boy or a girl?" hounded me throughout my childhood. The answer didn't matter much. The very fact that strangers had to ask the question already marked me as a gender outlaw.
Thank you, Lee. Again, just yesterday, I was talking to someone who knew that I was clergy, but was surprised, if not a little stunned, when I told them that I did not consider myself Christian. In encounters like those, I often talk about what I value in the Christian tradition and explain that I grew up in a secular humanist household. As I grew up in a secular humanist household, I've always seen the Christian tradition as one source of wisdom and guidance, just not the only one. Now, in light of a particular bishop's address to a particular political leader south of the border this week, I've been thinking more again about how Jesus called God Abba, which means loving daddy in Aramaic, and how liberal Christianity has long upheld our kind as children of God. All of our kind are children of God in this light. And while Bishop Marianne Buddy went wide in her call for empathy and mercy last week, I want to narrow our focus a bit this morning to sexuality, gender, and identity. Now, I've been with you a little over 3.5 years now, and I don't think I've said much from this space about sex. This morning, I'm trying to remedy that. And in so, I want to cast a fairly wide net. It may seem a little scattershot, so warning. The first is a realization I've come to just in the last couple weeks. For a while now, 6 Unitarian Universalist ministers of the larger Canadian Unitarian congregations have met on Zoom monthly. And this last time I realized that the six of us, representing 5 Unitarian congregations in Canada, of those 6, I'm the only non-queer minister. Huh. All right, great, I guess. I don't feel I have to represent anyone more than me. But it's an interesting perspective. When I was in seminary, the number of women in our faith traditions movement eclipsed the men in our movement, so I was a proud minority member then, and this group I'm another proud minority member. And I guess when I talk about sexuality, I need to talk about one person who is extremely important in my ministerial formation. The first seminary class that I participated in was a class on the historical Jesus, taught by Reverend now Marco Bellatini, of then our church in Hayward, California. Mark is known for a couple of things. He's in our Gray Hymnal. He was the chair of the Hymnal Commission that published our Gray Hymnal in '93. And Mark is also the first openly gay person ordained in our denomination. Mark is also known as a very fine speaker. Now, 11 years into my ministry, I ended up as the second chair minister, the associate minister, to the church in Columbus, Ohio. I talk about Columbus fairly often. Mark was my senior minister for my first 7 years there. So I got to know Mark even more as a colleague and coworker. Mark was a fine preacher, but when I got to Columbus, people would tell me about one particular sermon he had given several years before. This was the sermon that stuck. I never heard it, but I heard about it. And in that, Mark said that some people considered him a hero in the GLBTQIA movement, at least in our denomination. But he said, no, I don't feel like a hero. I ascribe that word to those who came before, who made my life being public as a gay man. And if you know Mark, you know he is gay. He is wonderful and large. We'll just say large and very wise. Mark talked about being a bank teller in San Francisco when in 1980 he was working at the bank and someone ran in and said, "They've shot Harvey. They've shot Harvey." You're talking about Harvey Milk, city council person at that time, and another city council shot Harvey as well as San Francisco's mayor. Mark talked passionately about that night. There's a fine documentary, and the movie Milk is equally fine. And he talked about how if it wasn't for one song, and I'm going to invite us to sing this together in just a moment, things might have gotten ugly. that night, Holly Neer, a friend of our faith tradition, was told, we need a song or things are going to get violent. And then she wrote, "We are an angry, gentle people," which you will find in our gray hymnal as number 170. Please pull it out. I think we've got the words on the screen. We didn't include it in the service, but we're going to sing now, sort of a halftime during my sermon. We will sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 6. We're skipping 3 or 4 just for time. And on verse 5, I would invite you to change "we are gay and straight together," because we are more than those categories, to "we are all in this together." You can stay seated for this one, but let us sing together. Thank you. Thank you all. The other thing I learned from Mark, before I go on to make a couple more points, is that the so-called alphabet soup, the 2S, GLBTQI+, whatever, we keep adding more, will only get us, he said, so far. And he told me, we were talking in the hallway with a couple of other colleagues, he said, "Eric, in the final analysis, you are an Eric sexual. And if I can call on you, Jan, you are a Jan sexual. And Kymani, I don't know you, we just met, you are a Kymani sexual. I don't know what that means. It's okay." That labels will only get us so far. They're kind of like metaphors. You've heard the line my English professors would always say, metaphors, if you push them, will always break down. So will labels like these. And so I read just yesterday an article published a couple days ago in Time magazine responding to new President Trump's executive order defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government. I'm going to read you something because it deserves to be heard. This is from In Time, a couple days ago, Alicia Roth Weigel. She begins, "For most Americans, the past few days have felt like a whirlwind. For intersex Americans like myself, the past week has been one of unimaginable whiplash. On January 16th, then President Biden's Department of Health and Human Services released a groundbreaking report on the health inequities our community suffers, believed to be the first ever federal policy acknowledging the existence of, let alone challenges faced by, intersex individuals in the United States." She goes on to say, "Despite intersex invisibility in broader society, our incontrovertible existence demonstrates that Trump's order is neither based in reality or biology. Countering current medical doctrine and millennia-old literary references, the new executive order makes numerous false assertions that contribute to our eraser, one of which directly pertains to my own lived experience. Female means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the large reproductive cell," reads the Trump executive order. She continues, "I was born with internal testicles and an external vagina. I have XY chromosomes, and my birth certificate has always said female. I never produced the large reproductive cell and only produced the small reproductive cell," Trump defines that as being male, "until I was sterilized without my consent as an infant." I will leave that there. Our denomination is working on a new hymnal. I hope it will be as inclusive as this prayer book from the Reconstructionist Synagogue in San Francisco, as queer positive a community as you can imagine. In it, there are prayers, like starting on page 18, on sexual and gender identity, on page 20, for coming out, for when I came out, for coming into your own sexuality, for queer elders, for being a woman, for male energy, for gender transitioning, for the partner of someone in gender transition. In relationships, there's a prayer for the first kiss, for lovers, for making love, for couples, for unexpected intimacy, for someone in a difficult relationship, a prayer for the end of a relationship, for being single, for childbearing, for creating a family, for a newborn life, for the adoption of a child. This is sex positive, people positive theology. Years ago, when I was friends with a couple of rabbis in town, Rabbi Rick ran the congregation. His wife, Rabbi Laura, was a religious educator, and she asked to borrow my congregation's material on Our Whole Lives, which is comprehensive human sexuality education. And so believing that OWL is one of the two things we do better than anybody else, memorial services and OWL are the two best things we do. I was proud to pass it on to Rabbi Laura. After a couple weeks, she came back to me and said, "Well, it's a good start." this points a way forward. Our OWL programs, which started just again within a week or two ago, are a great way forward. In a couple minutes, you will hear from Kymani, about a group, an initiative in this city that is positive, that supports youth for being who they are, whatever their expression and understanding of their identity. I have often said, and it sounds a little trite, that Unitarian Universalism is a from the inside out religion. Our most important religious source is our lived experience instead of any holy book. That is what we contribute to the social and religious landscape of today. That is our genius. That is our work to continue. I'll leave it there. I think it's time for our choir. Thank you. Thank you.
Today we're going to welcome Chalice Choir to sing OCM by Inuk singer-songwriter Susan Aglukark. Sorry. And this song, I want to note, what hit #1 on the Canadian country and adult contemporary charts, and #3 on the pop charts, which made Aglukark the first Inuk performer to have a top 40 hit. The inspiration for it came from an interaction she had with two members of the Coast Salish Nation, where they greeted her with the words OCM, which means joyful greeting, and they explained to her it's part of their practice of welcoming people to their nation, are these words. And she worked with them to incorporate the greeting into her song. She says, the words in the song, like the ice wall, it breaks down barriers. I feel very proud we put it together that way. We will be welcoming Mariella on guitar and Callie on piano as well today. I forgot one other thing too. I will welcome you to sing along in the chorus because I know many of you know the song. So we'll have the choir sing it for you first, and then I welcome you all to join in afterwards.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Charles Choir. This morning, as a proud member of the Alphabet Society, a past president of the 10 Oaks Project, a camp parent, and a forever friend of 10 Oaks, I'm really excited to be kicking off our special social justice collection today, which will be dedicated to supporting the work of the 10 Oaks Project. And it's my pleasure, an absolute privilege to be able to introduce and welcome 10 Oaks' Executive Director, Kymani Montgomery, to come share a few words about the impactful work of 10 Oaks.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Lee, and thank you all for inviting me to your service. My name is Kymani. I use any pronouns. I'm the Executive Director of the 10 Oaks Project. We, for 20 years, have been providing programs and services for children and youth from 2S LGBTQ+ communities. The acronym gets longer and longer every month. It definitely is a mouthful. And we're most known for our summer camps. Camp 10 Oaks began in 2005 with just a handful of campers and a couple of staff. And in the last 20 years, it has grown to support hundreds and hundreds of campers and families from not just Ottawa, but Ontario, Canada. We also have kids from the US who come as well. And one thing that people don't always know about the organization is that it began as a space for the children of queer and trans parents. And so the genesis of 10 Oaks is actually children and family. And since then, it's grown to welcome also children who identify with our community as well. You know, listening to the service and being here today, I'm just filled with an enormous amount of hope for the children and the families in our communities. There's so much turmoil and fear right now, and it honestly opens my heart to hear and to be part of spaces like this that are so welcoming and so opening. You folks aren't turning your shoulders. You folks aren't casting us away. You're opening your doors and recognizing that spaces like ours are important and necessary because kids deserve to be affirmed and welcomed and told that they are special and important, regardless of how they identify, regardless of how their parents identify. And they just want to have fun. At the end of the day, our organization just provides fun programs. Kids go swimming, kids do rock walls, climbing, kids do archery, and they just experience the joys of being outside in nature and being with folks who identify with them. And that's really what matters at the end of the day. So I really thank you all so much for inviting me to this space and choosing 10 Oaks to support this month. Your donations ensure that our programs are accessible to families all over. Like I said before, we have kids that come from the US. A few years ago, I spoke with a parent whose kid came from Texas. And so on the phone call, we were coordinating how to get them in. Should they fly into Toronto? Should they fly into Ottawa? Which bus do they get on? How do we make it work? And this kid came completely for free. They did not pay a single dime to come to camp. And they came for 2 whole years, and it was the most fulfilling experience for them. And it was all possible because of support from folks like you. So thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope to see more of you folks as the year goes on. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Kymani. And thanks so much for, sorry, I'm getting 20 years. It's been that long. I'm just grateful to have you here with us today, and for your stewardship and the stewardship of volunteers and board and staff of camp we call it intentional magic at camp. And to see you, and it's really grateful. I'm really grateful to be here and to see the 20 years of this impact in the community, and here's to the next 20. So with that, will the ushers please start passing the baskets? Our congregation has a long history of care, vitality, and bringing people together to move the arc of justice forward. We've been able to live into our hopes and dreams because of the generosity of those within and beyond this community. And so whether you're here in Worship Hall or anywhere else, you are a part of our community. We rely on one another to keep this congregation vital and resilient. If you have any questions about how you can give, please go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how to make a donation or keep up with your pledge. Also, those in Worship Hall can use the QR code on the back of the order of service to make an online donation. Again, thank you, Kymani, so much for being with us today for our first Social Justice Sunday. And thank you for the generosity you do to amplify the good work of Ten Oaks. Now let us sing together once more. Please rise and embody your spirit as Jen leads us in singing Go Lift It Up, number 1057 in our teal hymnal. The words will be up on the screen.
Please be seated. Before we close this time of worship and reflection, a reminder that food and household items from our grocery support program are available to any who would like them from the room adjacent to Fellowship Hall. A reminder that our after-service discussion in the lounge resumes this afternoon after the service, and that Mia's Indian Cuisine will continuing offer hot lunch for sale after the service. If you are new here, gotta find my prop, still feel new or simply welcome a really good conversation today, please pick up a green mug as you enter Fellowship Hall. Doing so will help others looking forward to a good conversation find you. And now, as we prepare to extinguish our chalice, let these words from Frederick Gillis be our guide. May the love that overcomes all differences, that heals all wounds, that puts to flight all fears, that reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always. This morning's chalice is extinguished, but the spark of our faith resides in us all. Jen, will you please bless us again by leading us in our closing song, Spirit of Life, which you'll find as number 123 in our teal hymnal, gray hymnal. We'll sing it through first in English and then en français. Please rise once more in body or spirit. as now we return to the challenge and the joy of helping the world come alive in love, we say, go in peace, my friends. Whoever you are, whatever you aspire to be, know that you, as a Unitarian, I'm going to say it, are holy. Go knowing that joyous truth, and go with peace in your steps and hearts. Go in peace. Amen.